All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and the continuation of our RBT practice question series where we're going through another set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe for all of our updates. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass your exam, please let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. Ken leaves his phone's ringer on a loud setting. The sound makes him anxious, so he quickly silences the phone when it rings. Each time he silences the distressing noise, he feels more at ease, making him more likely to silence the phone in the future. Which principle best explains Ken's increased tendency to silence his phone? So we've got a behavior change question, and we need to know what principle, or in this case, consequence, is changing Ken's behavior. And the first thing you want to ask when thinking about consequences is how is the behavior changing? Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Is it doing nothing? If it's increasing, it's got to be a reinforcement. If it's decreasing, then it's going to be punishment or extinction. Now we're looking at Ken's increased tendency to silence his phone. So we know Ken's tendency to silence his phone is increasing, or he's more likely to silence the phone in the future. So his behavior is increasing in the future. He's being reinforced somehow. So now we have to ask ourselves, what is that consequence? Well, he puts his ringer on loud. The sound goes off. It makes him anxious. So he silences the phone. And when he silences the phone, he feels at ease. The consequence, right, of silencing the phone is what? It's removing that noise. So the noise is removed, causing Ken to silence the phone in the future. So if we're removing something as a consequence, is that positive or negative? Going to be negative. So his behavior is increasing. He's being reinforced. He's removing something. It's negative. So we put those together, we get negative reinforcement. If we look at A and B, positive and negative punishment, we know he's more likely to silence the phone. He's increasing. It can't be punishment. Punishment never increases, it only decreases. So it has to be reinforcement. We know it's not positive because when he silences the phone or the ringing goes away. He's removing it, he's escaping it. Therefore, it's going to be D, negative reinforcement. Raya is a behavior technician at a day program who has been estimating a client's challenging behaviors from memory at the end of each session. Her supervisor suggests logging each behavior in real time instead. Raya decides to adopt that approach the following week. What outcome is most likely if Raya follows her supervisor's recommendation? So we're looking at a situation where a behavior technician is given feedback, and when technicians are given feedback, they should attempt to implement that feedback to the best of their ability. In this case, Raya is given a recommendation by her supervisor because Raya is currently estimating or guessing at challenging behaviors from memory, which we should never do. Decisions we make are data driven. If we're going to use data to make decisions, that data should be accurate and reliable. So the supervisor says you should log behaviors in real time. In other words, continuously measure those behaviors instead of just estimating from your memory. So if Raya implements those recommendations, what is most likely to occur? A, there will likely be no change in data quality. Well, if Raya goes from estimating from memory to continuously measuring behavior, there's a good chance data are going to improve. B, data accuracy will likely improve following the change. Sure, we've gone from thinking and trying to remember to actually logging behavior in real time. The real time data collection is most likely going to be more accurate than going from memory. C, Raya will become more confused due to the new method of data collection. If Raya has no questions and she follows the recommendation, it's likely going to be easier rather than trying to guess at what data she was collecting. Even if it isn't easier, she's not guaranteed to become more confused just because data collection has changed. It's a recommendation, and before Raya implements recommendations, she should be sure she's comfortable with whatever was recommended. D, the client will begin regressing due to this change. It's very unlikely it's going to make the client perform worse. In fact, we're going to likely get better data, which should lead to better decision making, which hopefully will lead to better outcomes. If Raya follows these recommendations, it's likely data accuracy will improve following the change. Lucas and Myra, both behavior technicians in the same program, work with a client on different days. They've noticed the client's aggressive behaviors have multiple triggers. They decided to meet and share observations each week and look for patterns. What should Lucas and Myra do in addition to sharing their observations with each other each week? So looking at a situation with Lucas and Myra, and what are they doing? Well, they're meeting and sharing observations each week and looking for patterns. We know Lucas and Myra are in the same program and work with a client on different days. And so they're doing what technicians should do, right? They're both on the same case. They're sharing information about the client's behavior that has multiple triggers, and they're trying to figure out a way to identify patterns and trends to better serve the client. So good things from Lucas and Myra. Now, the question wants to know, what should they do in addition to sharing their observations with each other? What might be missing here? A, nothing. Lucas and Myra are doing everything appropriately. Well, think about it. They're both behavior technicians. What's the other key in collaboration or team in this setup? Well, their supervisor. If they're both noticing aggression and these triggers, good that they're sharing with each other, but they need to involve that supervisor. B, Lucas and Myra should wait and meet monthly in order to collect more data. No, there's nothing wrong with meeting weekly, especially if they're seeing that client multiple times per week. C, Lucas and Myra should include their supervisor in their meetings when possible. Yes, if they've got all these observations and this information and this data, it's great they're sharing with each other, but the supervisor is going to be the one making changes and making those decisions. So they need to pull that supervisor in whenever possible. D, Lucas and Myra should not discuss the client with each other if the supervisor is not present. Since they're both on the case and both work with the client, it's okay for them to discuss that client if the supervisor isn't there, but they should do their best when discussing these specifics to include the supervisor when possible. So what should they do in addition to sharing with each other? They should try to include the supervisor in their meetings when possible. Mav can currently do 10 push-ups and wants to reach 50. She reinforces herself upon achieving 15 daily push-ups, then 20, then 25, and so on until she meets the ultimate goal of 50. Which procedure describes gradually reinforcing progressively higher push-up counts? Very straightforward procedure question, right? We have a girl here who wants to reach 50 push-ups, the ultimate goal of 50. In other words, our terminal behavior, and she currently does 10. Initially, she's going to reinforce herself with the approximation of 15. And when we say approximation or successive approximation, it's the approximation of behavior towards our terminal behavior. So now she's done 15 out of her goal of 50, and then reinforces for 20, so the approximation is closer. Then 25, the approximation is closer, so on and so forth. The ultimate goal of 50 is where she wants to get to, but she's reinforcing as she gets closer. Which procedure reinforces approximations as we approach that terminal behavior? A, shaping. Yes, shaping is all about approximations. It's all about building and building and building until you reach that goal. A looks to be our answer, but we always read all of our answer choices so we can understand why the other ones are wrong. B, differential reinforcement. Differential reinforcement is often a big part of shaping, but the procedure wants to know about the specific instance of gradually reinforcing progressively higher counts. So they're gradually shaping and shaping and shaping. C, chaining. Doesn't appear to be any chaining. She's not task analyzing her behavior. Chaining doesn't seem to fit. And then D, stimulus fading. It doesn't appear that she's fading out reinforcement. She's just increasing the criterion as she moves towards her ultimate goal. So what procedure describes gradually reinforcing progressively higher push-up counts? That's going to be A, shaping. Dale repeatedly leaves company brainstorming sessions. His team leader takes note of the situations when Dale exits, interviews him about possible reasons, and reviews any patterns. From these observations, the leader concludes Dale leaves because he's uncomfortable speaking in large groups. Which process did the team leader most likely use to determine the reason for Dale's exit? So looking at the team leader, and they are trying to determine why Dale leaves these sessions. And what does the leader do? Well, they take data, so they jot down when Dale exits. They do indirect observations, right? They are interviewing him about possible reasons. So they're not actually observing the behavior, but they are talking to him about it. And then they go and review data patterns from interviews and direct observations. So from these, they then conclude Dale leaves because he's uncomfortable speaking in large groups. What is this whole process called? We've got indirect observations, we've got direct observations. What is this team lead doing? A preference assessment. At no point has the team lead assessed Dale's preferences. They're looking at Dale's behavior. B, a functional analysis. Remember, with a functional analysis, we're actually trying to determine the function of a behavior, not just why somebody's doing something, even though it's the same thing, right? Function is why it occurs. But with a functional analysis, we're trying to determine the actual function, as in attention or escape or tangible, and we're manipulating things in the environment. In this case, nothing's being manipulated. It's all observation, data collection, interviews, and observation of when Dale exits, pattern review. It's not a functional analysis, nothing's being manipulated, but a functional behavior assessment is occurring. And then D, a reinforcer assessment, just like a preference assessment. No reinforcement is being assessed. It's all about Dale's behavior here. And they're getting an idea of why Dale is leaving these sessions. What is the leader most likely using? C, a functional behavior assessment. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for all of our video updates. We also have BCBA materials. So when you pass your RBT exam, make sure you come back if you're going for your BCBA. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass your exam, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.